PTA president. I love it. Camera on. Hey, Shayna, welcome. All right, well, it is 10 a.m., so let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And give me 1 second. Okay. All right, well, welcome everyone. I am so glad that everybody is here and able to join us in the middle of the summer. We are at the end of June, believe it or not, but we still have plenty of summer left. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time, for being here with us. We have had an awesome summer so far, if that's what you want to call it. We are still at school. We are working hard. And I just wanted to let you know that we have been working very, very hard for the return of our students. We have been building our schedule, which is complete. We have assigned all students to class lists and homeroom teachers, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But I promise we won't take too much of your time today because we want to speak on really three elements today, and that is our intervention and acceleration plan, which we are calling more so personalized learning. We want to talk about some important summer updates in regard to our pre-K early learning initiative. And we want to just highlight a few things, important dates that have to do with the start of school year and our school schedule and so forth. I do want you to know that this is not a COVID-19 update, so I don't have any more information to provide on anything right now. I will tell you that we are still a little bit early in the summer, and things are going to move forward throughout the summer, and we would be happy to share some information along APS guidelines and initiatives around COVID-19 to start the 21-22 school year. So if you have any questions about that, just know that we don't quite have the answers to those right now. I do want to take a second, though, to introduce Mr. Hudson. He is on this call right now. Mr. Hudson is our program administrator of the primary campus. He is your go-to person for everything in K2. We are so glad that he's here today. He is our only other admin here today because everybody's on summer break. So Mr. Hudson and myself will lead the town hall today. And if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. Mr. Hudson can type about 35 words a minute. So hang tight on that one, but he'll get back to you and he'll be sure to answer your questions. So thank you for joining us, Mr. Hudson. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and begin. Before I start, I definitely want to introduce two phenomenal people, our PTA presidents for the 21-22 school year, Miss Lilia Pratt and Anna Logue. And I had to put a picture of them on here. We wanted to identify who they were. And they're just going to talk to you just for a second about how to be involved and any other information that you may need from a PTA perspective. So I see Lilia on here. So go ahead, Lilia. Let me get you unmuted. There you go.
Thanks, Jay. So my name is Lilia Pratt. Anna Logue and I are excited to serve as your PTA co-presidents for what we hope will be a more typical school year. We're busy working to make a wide variety of volunteer opportunities available and planning lots of fun ways to support our amazing school. So if you think you might be interested in serving on a PTA committee or just helping in any way, let us know through the Be Involved page on the Morris Brandon website. It's under the Support Brandon tab. And continue to check the website over the summer for updates to the calendar and more back to school information. We just posted the lists of school supplies your child will need, and those are in the parent toolkit section. If you have a rising kindergartner, there will be some school supply kits for sale at the Celebration of Learning, but those are only for kindergartners. So everybody else, check the lists and get to shopping. If you have questions about the PTA or anything else Morris Brandon, you can email us at presidents@morrisbrandon.com and just have a wonderful summer. We look forward to being back at school. Thanks, Jay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lilia. And I just want to remind everybody that we do have some hyperlinks on here. And I realize you can't click on a hyperlink on a presentation, but we have posted this presentation under the Town Halls tab on morrisbrandon.com, and Mr. Hudson will type that address in there for you. We should have that posted probably by the end of the day tomorrow, as it takes a second to get the recording uploaded to the cloud and so forth. But we will have all the hyperlinks right there for you that you can click on nice and easy. So all this information is available on morrisbrandon.com. All right, so we spent a lot of time this summer, actually pretty much all of last week at an APS leadership retreat. It was a fantastic retreat where we learned so much about the direction that we are moving in around personalized learning, intervention and acceleration, and how it's tied to what's now known as the APS 5. These are a focus that APS has around data, curriculum instruction, whole child support, personalized learning, and of course, signature programming. Believe it or not, we already had these 5 as our focus is on Morris Brandon as well. And we're going to talk a little bit today about how these are tied into our initiatives moving into next year. But I want people to become familiar with this slide, as everything we do is student focused and student centered. And we want to make sure that we are supporting students in all 5 of these areas, definitely coming out of the pandemic, but moving forward into years to come. So as you remember, APS has spoken about the 3-prong approach toward the intervention and academic recovery plan. I do want to remind everybody that that there's 3 elements to this plan, and it's not just the 30-minute addition to the school day and the intervention acceleration plan in the AM. But we started with what's called an adoption and implementation of a new K-12 universal screener. Many of you all know this previously as STAR, as our STAR assessment. You've probably met with your teachers, you know your grade equivalent, maybe your instructional reading levels. But APS has adopted a new universal screener moving forward. You will not hear the word STAR again. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute as we touch upon that slide. The second piece is the implementation of our summer academic recovery program. I had intentionally have not discussed that yet, but yes, we have had 190 students at Morris Brandon May campus since school let out. These are a combination of both Morris Brandon and Bolton Academy students. They have done an incredible job of academic recovery, of making learning fun. Our teachers have and our staff. We have a STEM camp in the afternoon that's happening, and I do want you to know that's part of the 3-year plan for academic recovery. And there's some more information on that website. And the last piece of our intervention plan is the school intervention block, which we're also going to talk about today, intervention acceleration. From the APS 5, we're going to call that the personalized learning piece. Once again, if you have any questions, feel free to type it in the chat box or just listen. And if you have any questions later on, you can always email us, and our information is going to be at the end. So the first thing I want to talk about is our new universal screener. The universal screener is called MAP. If any of your students have tested for gifted, whether first look, second look, or in the gifted program, they are familiar with MAP testing. I did put some stats on here about MAP so you understand a little bit about what it is. So first of all, it's a universal screener that is norm referenced with close to 11 million students across the United States. We will have 3 testing windows, which is going to be in the fall, the winter, and spring. We have to assess our students during that window because they are going to be compared with like students across the country, 11 million of them. It's found in 8,900 different school districts, close to 36,000 schools, and all over the world. So we are excited to bring MAP to our school. We're also going to be using what's called MAP Fluency. MAP Fluency is going to be a way for our teachers to evaluate and assess reading comprehension. If you remember previously, we did reading inventories like F&P, like Fountas and Pinnell. But what's really cool about MAP Fluency is it uses adaptable, speech recognition that's going to help with basically grading and assessing student reading. So your students will get on the computer, they're going to have a headset, they're going to have a passage that's grade level equivalent, and they will read that. The computer will record them and score them according to their Lexile level. And we're going to talk a lot more throughout the year what Lexile levels mean. Just to give you an idea, a 3rd grade student at the end of the year should be in the middle of their Lexile band, somewhere around a 620. And then when you get to 4th grade, it's closer to 750. And when you get to 5th grade, it's closer to 920. So you can see how the Lexile level numbers go up from 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And that's what they're assessed on at the end of the year. But it's really cool. The computer actually does all that to them. It records our students reading. So when we have our parent-teacher conferences, we can actually play recordings of your child reading to the computer in August. We can play it again in May, and you can see their reading growth. So these are the 2 universal screeners that we're going to be using to assess our students this year. This is really important data that we take early on in the year that's going to help us place our students for their personalized learning blocks. Real quickly, because I do have the chat open, that's a great question, and Jolly, and I see that Mr. Hudson did indicate that. Because our kindergartners may not have experienced any unfinished learning, also because we know that kindergarten is not mandatory in the state of Georgia, that we are going to move our kindergarten intervention to start in January and their personalized learning block. So they will just continue with typical AM instruction as opposed to our 1st through 5th graders. I also said that MAP is adaptable on here. As you know, through STAR and MAP, as students perform better, the questions get harder. If they get a question wrong, the question will drop down a little bit, and that's how they get their norm reference score. A little bit about how the MAP growth relates to APS data, APS 5, and I just wanted to show this kind of roadmap because data is the very beginning piece where we can see what our students need for curriculum instruction, even whole child interventions, how we can help them with personalized learning, and how that's going to impact our signature programs like IB and dual language immersion. So the second piece of APS's academic recovery plan is our ARA Academy. Yes, this is a live photo that was taken 2 days ago because we are in Spirit Week this week. It is, I think that was like sunshine, you're too bright to see day. They all wore their beach towels and their sunglasses, and it's just a great photo. This is a mixture of Bolton and Morris Brandon students, but I did want to highlight just how successful this program has been. We are so happy to have, on a typical day, about 160 students coming to Morris Brandon, Maine, and it is about 50-50 Brandon Bolton. On a great day early on, we had close to 200 students. We served students from last year K-5. So if a student was in kindergarten during 2021, they're getting kindergarten interventions. We're not moving them to 1st grade. The focus is on literacy and math. We have very good scripted programs. In the afternoons, we have a STEM focus, and we have some vendors coming in that are working with our students. I have to give a shout out to our assistant principal, Fume Ekper, who has been running this to a T. She is phenomenal. And all of the staff at Morris Brandon and Bolton Academy that have stepped up to teach our students, especially the ones that were impacted by learning loss or unfinished learning the most. And we're so glad that this has been happening at Brandon. So I want to make sure that everybody understands some of the work that we've been doing as a school this summer as well. And the last piece of our academic recovery plan, I guess, is the personalized learning block, also known as the intervention and acceleration, but I love calling it personalized learning because that's what students are going to get. They're going to get what they need to be successful. So we already talked a little bit about MAP and how that's going to be used to identify students that are eligible. Now, there is going to be an intervention piece to it. If students are below grade level and not performing where they should be at the very beginning of the school year or as expected, and we understand that it was a difficult year last year, we want to make sure that we can help fill some of those gaps during this 30-minute block in the morning. And we have some really specific programs that are going to help to do that. But we are also aware that not all of our students experienced unfinished learning. As you know from my 15 town halls this year, I feel like we had well over 700 students return to our building in January, February, and they got 5 months of in-person learning to the best of our ability to a normal schedule with their teachers. I've looked through all of our Georgia Milestone data for our 3rd through 5th graders. I know exactly where we stand for students that tested. Remember, we still had about 100 students that remained virtual for the whole school year and did not test, but I know where we are as a school. And I do know that not every student may need the unfinished learning intervention piece. So based on the MAP assessment in the beginning of school, some students may not be eligible for the intervention, and we want to give them what they need to be successful through acceleration. So it's important to note that this is a personalized learning block because students are going to get what they need during this time. It's going to be 30 minutes, 4 times a week. Right now, it's Monday through Thursday, and Friday they will not have it. 2 days a week are going to be ELA, or language arts, and 2 days a week are going to be math. We have staggered start times between 8:15 and 9:45 for 1st through 5th grade. The reason we do that is to make sure that we can stagger our support because we want as many teachers and facility staff as possible to help support our kids during that time so we can make for smaller groups. So it's going to be in the morning. We started at 8:15 because we started 7:45. We're always going to be missing those 2 or 3 kids that don't quite get there on time. So we want to make sure that we start right at 8:15. We talked a little bit about the acceleration intervention programs we're going to use, and I'm going to highlight those in a second. And I'm so excited that APS is going to be giving every single student at our school and throughout APS a one-to-one device. And I'm going to talk about that just really quickly, that our kindergarten students are going to be getting iPads, and our 1st through 5th grade students are going to be getting brand new Chromebooks for next year. And this is going to support us through our personalized learning. And we're going to talk a whole lot more about the distribution, the expectations, what we need our students to do and to hold on to. And we know very well that our student body are not unfamiliar with devices. So we want to make sure that we use them responsibly. We are happy that we are a common sense school, and that we will make sure that we utilize these devices the right way and make sure that we get the most out of them. So this is a little bit of an overview of our new intervention plans. Again, we're going to post this information so you're able to read up on it a little bit. Even though it does say K, remember that kindergarten is not going to start until January, but students at our primary center are going to do a reading program that's called iRead. And iRead is a program that focuses very much on the phonics and phonemic awareness piece of reading. We know that K2 students do phonics. We do the Foundations program, the multisensory approach to learning. Our students learn phonics through visual, auditory, kinesthetic, tactile ways of learning, and we want to continue that with this intervention program. When you get to the upper grades, some students that still need help, and we do know that we have students in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade that still may need some help with the phonics piece. That the System 44 is a program that's like iRead, but for the upper grades who still need some support with phonological awareness and phonemic awareness. Outside of that, our 3rd through 5th graders that don't need that phonics extra support will use the program which is called Read 180. As we read, don't forget there's 5 elements of reading that we focus on, and that's phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, comprehension, fluency, and vocabulary. And these are the 5 pieces that we want to make sure our students are on grade level by the time they leave their grade level for 21-22. Last but not least, we have a K-5 math program called Do the Math, and we'll get some more information to you on that. And that's the only program we have from kindergarten through 5th. And just a reminder, K will not start that until January. These are district provided programs, by the way. We are all getting our trainings on these programs in July. Mr. Hudson and myself, our leadership team, were introduced to our leadership retreat, and we were able to hear and be trained already, but we can't wait for our teachers to get these trainings as well. Let's talk about DLI just for a second. DLI is all the way up to 5th grade now. It is 25% of our school. So we want to make sure that all students are getting that personalized learning. This is a DLI flowchart. I'm going to summarize it to you in a little bit quicker. Basically, students in DLI are going to take the MAP assessment in English, and if they are on grade level and they're doing well, they're going to get Spanish interventions. And that's something that we need at Brandon. We need our DLI students to focus a little bit more on Spanish acclimation, speaking, comprehension, language, vocabulary. And this is a great time for our DLI students to get interventions in Spanish if they're on grade level. If they're not on grade level, they will just get their interventions in English, because we want to make sure that students are reading and writing and on the correct grade level for math before they move into Spanish acceleration. So that's basically what this chart says. We will have a DLI intervention program to help those students as well that are on grade level for the English side. That has not quite been announced yet, but we will make sure that our DLI community knows that. And that's basically what this says for math as well. That students will take, and we're a one-way program, remember, so the bulk of our students, well over 50% are English speakers, so they're all going to take the MAP assessment in their home language. And if our students are on grade level, they will move to math interventions in Spanish as well. So basically just making sure that we are making sure that our Spanish cohorts and our DLI cohorts are getting what they need, because we definitely know that unfinished learning has happened in DLI, and we appreciate those families sticking with us and buying into our program at Brandon, and we're going to make sure that they get what they need to be successful as well. Mr. Hudson, while I'm here, do we have any pressing questions that have come up that we need to answer, or are we good to go?
We are good to go. I believe I've addressed everything that's in the chat room. One question about intervention and acceleration for our students that already are meeting the requirements.
Okay. That's great. And I do want to remind families, we actually still have a 40-minute personalized learning block in our schedule already outside of the APS intervention with the intervention programs in the morning. We call that WIN. You may remember that from last year. It's on an alternating schedule with our foreign language. So we are actually going to be offering these type of services twice during the day for our grade levels. It's 40 minutes every other day because one day grade levels will have French or their language lab in Spanish, and the other day they're going to be getting acceleration or intervention and remediation too. So we already have that, and that's when we are going to utilize our 3 full-time gifted teachers who are back with us from being virtual teachers, and we are so glad that they're back. And they're going to be serving our students who need acceleration and who are also eligible for gifted services every day and every day during our WIN block. So we're excited about that too. Let's talk about the schedule, and we are not going to dwell too much on this because we know the schedule now. This was the schedule that was agreed upon by our community. What I'm going to ask you, parents, please, I'm going to ask you to really get that routine started, get it started early, and make sure that we are holding true to our 7:45 start time. I cannot tell you how important it is to get our students in school on time, and it is going to be a shift early on. I promise I will handle the teacher part if you handle the student part, because we are opening our doors early. We are opening arrival at 7:15. We will make sure that every staff member is here and on duty, and we need you to please make sure that your students are here on time as well. That way, we can make sure that we kick the day off with our whole child intervention, SEL, and morning meetings. And we have students that cannot make it on time. They are not going to make our SEL morning meetings, and it does make for a difficult day. So I want to make sure that you know our school start times. We did put the middle and high school on there in case we have any families that do crossover. But we will begin school at 7:45, and we will begin dismissal at 2:45. So the 15 minutes at the front end, 15 minutes on the back end, make up that 30 minutes, which you see in our schedule as the APS personalized learning block that we just talked about. Okay, let's talk about pre-K. And I am so glad to finally announce that for the first time ever, Morris Brandon has been awarded a pre-K for the 21-22 school year. This is exciting, exciting news. And I want you to know that we worked very hard with the Office of Early Learning, and I'm going to introduce them in just a second, and with our school and facilities to make sure that this is a reality. We are so glad to start building the Morris Brandon Bees up from the pre-K year and hope they can stay with us all the way through 5th grade. I want you to know that we had to streamline communication because it takes a little bit of time to get the lottery process moving, to get the website up and going. But I want to introduce some very important people from the Office of Early Learning in Atlanta Public Schools. So we're going to talk to you just for a second about our pre-K program. Some very important dates for you to know. And then please know that as soon as this meeting is over, communication is going to go out. So you are the very first ones to hear it from me and from us. We have our flyer ready. It's going to go out in the B-mail, posted on our website, Facebook, and Twitter for all students that are eligible. So I'm going to hand it over to Shayna Weldon and Monica from the Office of Early Learning, and they're going to talk to us just for a second about pre-K at Morris Brandon.
All right, good morning. Good morning. I'm Shayna Weldon, Early Learning Coordinator here in Atlanta Public Schools, and we are definitely excited that we have the opportunity to open a brand new pre-K class at Morris Brandon for the upcoming school year. So I just want to talk just real briefly. I'm going to turn it over to Monica, but as Jay already explained, pre-K is going to follow the same school schedule. So school time will be the same for pre-K, 7:45 to 2:45. There are 22 students in each pre-K classroom with a lead teacher and a paraprofessional. For those of you who may not have already applied for the lottery, the families that already did, we held a virtual transition meeting for rising pre-K and kindergarten families. So before I log off, I will place the link in the chat so that you can view the recording. You'll have a presentation from a current pre-K teacher that will give you more information about our curriculum and resources that we use. And if you have any other questions specifically from me, I'm going to leave my email address in the chat as well. And I'm going to turn it now over to Monica Smith, our enrollment administrator, to share all the information you're waiting for in terms of the lottery and how you apply. So I'm going to turn it over to Monica.
Thank you so much, Shayna. As Shana shared, I am the pre-K enrollment administrator for APS, and I am going to provide you all with some information about enrollment. And so the first thing that I'm going to discuss is eligibility. To be eligible for our program, your child must turn 4 years old by September 1st and must reside within the Atlanta Public Schools attendance zone. Now, if you are an APS employee, you can live outside of the attendance zone and are still eligible to apply. As long as you all meet those requirements, you can participate in the pre-K lottery for Brandon. And if you are interested in applying, our process is very simple. The first thing that you want to do is gather all of your required documents. Those are your child's birth certificate, social security card, proof of residency. Your proof of residency would need to be a lease, a mortgage statement, or a utility bill in the parent's name that you received within the last 30 days. If you use a utility bill, we can only accept a water, gas, or electric bill. Cable and phone bills are not acceptable forms of residency. The next thing that we'll need will be the parent's ID. And then if you have updated immunization records, ear, eye, and dental records, and a health insurance card for your child, we'll need those as well. Now, if for some reason, while completing the application, you don't have the medical information, that's fine. You will still be able to submit a lottery application without the medical information, as we give all parents the same grace period of September 1st to submit those documents, and it will not impact the lottery results at all. So as long as you have everything else, you'll be perfectly fine. Okay. Once you have gathered all of those documents, you want to go ahead and head on over to our online application, which is located at enrollearlyatl.com. Once there, you will need a valid email address to apply. You will also be required to create a username and password to gain access to our application. Once you do that, you'll log in. You will be required to upload all of your required documents to the app. You'll complete the application in its entirety. And within the application, you'll also make your school site selection, which will likely be Morris Brandon, but there will be another site listed as well. So you want to make sure you select the one that you're interested in. After all of that is done, you'll go ahead and submit your app. Once you submit, you will receive a confirmation email from us stating that we've received your application. If for some reason you think that you submitted your app, but you have not received that confirmation email, you want to reach out to us well before the deadline of July 8th. Because we cannot accept applications after July 8th for any reason. And if you did not get that confirmation email, we likely do not have your application. All right, so after you've submitted, the lottery drawing will be held on July 13th. After the drawing, there is a verification process that has to take place. And this has to take place before the results are released. This verification process is basically like it's a very intense check of the system. We literally look at all of the applications. We're checking the logic behind the system to make sure that everything worked as it was supposed to. Usually we're able to complete the verification process by the end of the day, but depending on how many applications we receive, and Morris Brandon is extremely popular. So just depending on how many apps we receive, the release of the results could be delayed maybe by a day or so. But once they are released, you all will receive an email. The email will state if you have been accepted into Morris Brandon, and it'll also, if you're placed on the waiting list, it'll let you know that as well, and it'll also tell you which seat your student is on the waiting list for. Just a few things to know. If you apply at Morris Brandon and it is outside of your attendance zone for your address, you are still eligible to apply for Brandon, but you will not receive bus transportation services to Brandon. Bus transportation services are only provided to your zone school. And then if you are a family of twins or triplets, you will have to submit one application per child. And then before the lottery drawing takes place, what we'll do on the back end is link those applications together so that when the system pulls those applications, it'll know to pull enough seats for all of your students. Our application will take approximately 30 minutes for you to complete. If for some reason you're unable to complete the application in one sitting, that's fine. We do have a feature where you can save and come back later. But if you do so, you definitely want to make sure that you submit that application before July 8th. It will close July 8th at 11:59 p.m. And again, there is not, for not any reason can we accept an application after July 8th. Lastly, if you are a family that participated in our lottery that was held earlier in the school year, and you are currently accepted in another site or waitlisted for another site, if you are accepted into Brandon, the system will automatically decline your current seat. So if you get into Brandon, so let's say, for example, you're currently accepted at E. Rivers Elementary. We run the lottery for Brandon, you're accepted into Brandon, you will lose your seat at E. Rivers. Now, if you, on the flip side, if you're on a waiting list for E. Rivers and you do not get accepted into Brandon and you are placed on the waiting list for Brandon, for 24 hours, you will hold 2 waiting list seats. You will have one at E. Rivers, one at Morris Brandon. You will have 24 hours to make a decision as to which waiting list you would like to remain on. After that 24 hours, the system will automatically decline the waiting list seat for the new site and you will keep your original seat. That is very important that you all understand that, piece. And so to decline a waiting list seat, you would simply log back into the system at enrollearlyatl.com, find the application that you're not interested in and decline that seat. Okay, so I suggest that maybe you kind of start to think about that now, maybe have the conversations that you may need to have with your spouse to, kind of already know what it is that you would like to do in the event that that happens. Okay. Other than that, that is pretty much all I have. If you all have any questions, you can always give us a call at the Office of Early Learning. Shana, I don't know if you have already, but if you can drop our contact information in the chat, or I can do it when I'm done, but it's 404-802-3640. And you can also email us at preinfo@APS. What is it?
Don't touch that.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Shana just dropped it in the chat. Oh, and Shana, it's the pre-K info one. You have to use the Atlanta.K12. What is it?
Atlanta.K12.
Yes. I'm so used to using the shorter one. But yeah, so we look forward to working with you all and can't wait to meet your little ones.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Monica and
Thank you.
Shana, for being here. And we are so excited to have pre-K and these little babies coming to our school now, and just to help build up our community and so forth. So thank you so much. Parents, I definitely want you to take note of these information and these phone numbers, because many of the questions will need to be answered by Shana and Monica's department. We at the school-based level will handle the hiring. And we will let everybody know prior to day one who our pre-K teacher is going to be, and we will definitely work with meeting that teacher and following our celebration of learning plans, which are coming in our next slide. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
As Shayna and Monica just kind of monitor that chat box, if there's any more questions, I can't see them all. I do want to remind our parents of just some important things. It's really, really, really important if you are a Morris Brandon parent that you are registered for the B-Mail. I write a bi-monthly blog with lots and lots of information. We've made it a lot easier to sign up for the B-Mail. So please go to morrisbrandon.com. You will see a red button. It says sign up for B-Mail. It's right there. So make sure that you're doing that. Be sure if you have Twitter that you follow us. We love to put all of the awesome things that we do at Morris Brandon out onto Twitter. Extremely important for us to tell our story, and we love to do that. So follow us there. You can sign up for our remind text. This is a way that I get meeting information out. Many of you got it today. Just simply text 81010 to MBBs. Don't forget that you will be able to access your class lists soon. The date is on the next slide. I can't remember. I don't want to say the wrong date. But in order to do that, you have to have access to your parent portal. Parent portal is a way for you to access your students' grades, schedule, class roster, all of that. So you need to make sure that you've accessed parent portal. You can access this link, which will be hyperlinked below the presentation. Mr. Hudson will make sure it's there. There's also a direct link on morrisbrandon.com where you can sign up to get that, because that's how you're going to be able to get your students' teacher. And then always follow me on Facebook. Please look for me. I love posting pictures and showing what's happening in our school and all the awesome things that we do in our awesome Morris Brandon community. So be sure to follow me there. Here's some important dates. So take notes, take out your pencil and pen, write this down if you can. For our rising kindergarten students, we're going to post your rosters on the K doors, because we do know that sometimes it's a little bit more difficult for our newest families to sign up for parent portal. So we do this as a tradition. We do it in the North Atlanta cluster. All the schools will do this, and all schools are following this timeline. I will tell you, it is always subject to change, but right now we're going to be posting our K class lists on the doors of our primary center July 28th. For all other students, 1st through 5th, class lists, which basically means your homeroom teacher is going to be available in parent portal on July 30th. I want everybody to know that our DLI lottery for our rising kindergartners has been finalized, that it is done. They know if they are in, but we need those contracts back. So please make sure if you're a rising kindergarten parent and you were accepted into DLI that we get your contracts back. Mark the date for our celebration of learning. We are so excited to welcome all of our families back into the building on August 4th, 2021 from 9 to 11 a.m. We're going to come out with a detailed schedule with more information around that. We are still going to be following our mitigation strategies, but we are excited to have our families come in the building, meet their teacher, drop off their school supplies kit, and get any information they need prior to day one. So that's on August 4th. August 5th, day one, I should have put this on there, by the way, but it is the first day of school for 21-22. That is August 5th, really just a little over a month away. For our kindergarten students and our families, we're going to host our first PTA event of the year, of the school year. We call it Coffee and Kleenex. I was a kindergarten parent last year. I would have been there if we did it in person. And that's going to be at 8:15 in our media center at the primary center. And then we are excited to bring back our backyard bash this year. Whoop, whoop. August 13th at our main campus, where we are going to bring back Morris Brandon and our community together for 2 hours with dancing, music, food trucks, and everything in between on August 13th. So mark your calendars for those important dates to start the year with much more information to come. Well, that's all I have. We are excited that you guys are here. And we want to thank you for joining us today. If there's anything you need, please reach out to us. I will tell you that Mr. Hudson and myself are going to take a small, tiny little vacation over the next week or two. So we will be out of the office, but we do have our secretary working at main campus. So you can always call 404-802-7250. Mr. Hudson, if you wouldn't mind putting that number in the box, we will have our secretary answering the phones between 8 and 3:30 daily for any of your needs. And then if there's any more questions, I can go ahead and read through some of them. Let's see. We've got a question about transportation. Eileen, I will take your name down and give you a call, and we'll make sure that we get those worked out. We understand that transportation can be an issue, and I will make sure that you get some information on that. I want to remind, let's see, pre-K hours are the same as school, Claudia. So thanks for asking that. But Shana did mention we're going to follow the same hours as our school. In-person tours are available this summer. We are doing them on Wednesdays. Please access our website for some more information. If you're having trouble finding any of that info, just give us a call at the number below that, Jonathan, and we'll make sure that we can get you in. Also, Mr. Hudson, you can email him. And Mr. Hudson, if you want to put your email down in regard to a summer school, tour, so you can put him in touch with Karen. All right, outside of that, thank you guys so much for being here. We've taken your questions. Look at these cute photos of our students pre-pandemic and their book character dress up day. I love these. These kids are now going into 3rd grade. I cannot believe that. I feel old now. But anyways, have a great summer. We're going to miss you guys, but we'll see you in a month and a half. Give your kids a big hug for us. We miss them. This is going to be recorded and it's posted by tomorrow. We appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.